Hi. Okay, here's the deal. I am so excited to be sharing with you week 7 of Julia Cameron, The Artist Way. So excited to share this with you. And why am I so excited? Because there's been so many aha moments and reaffirming moments and celebration moments and just so much good has come out of just the introduction of week 7, all about recovering a sense of connection. Interesting, hey? So anyway, this is like, I don't know how many videos I have tried to start this, but I get so excited and I start talking over here and talking over there and whatever. But you know what? Now I'm just going with it. So every fumble, every, sidetrack roller coaster that we go on, yay, buckle in, because I am so excited about this week to share with you what I have learned. Okay, so you got to hit subscribe. You know you do, right? Got to help each other here. Click. Okay. So she starts off by talking about listening, how it's a skill that we have that we kind of hone in when we do our morning pages and we do our artist dates. I kind of like skimmed over that because, listening. Right? Don't worry, I make the connection later on. But anyway, I kind of like skimmed through it, whatever. But, she said something that really made me go, She goes, art is not about thinking something up. It is about the opposite, getting something down. And I was like, And then she goes on to say, if we are trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's beyond our grasp. When we get something down, there's no strain. We're not doing, we're getting. Someone or something else is doing the doing. Instead of reaching for the interventions, we are engaged in the listening. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think I've got a little mindset reset. So creativity, right? She's all about discovering the artist and the creativity within. We all know that our creativity is our source. It comes from the source, right? That's where we can manifest. That's where the source lays. Okay, but I always thought being creative was being an artist, like being able to paint and being able to draw and write. But even then, I didn't think writing was an art. I always thought it was more like hands, the drawing, sculpting, creating, even though I understand writing is creating, but we're not going to go there. I just never realized that your creativity is your source, and it can look like manifesting your reality. It can look like inspiring, motivating, encouraging, and supporting others. So I'm going to go on with that in a minute here, because something's been going on behind the scenes here. I listen to Mel Robbins. Yeah, I do. And I do like her. I do like the way she talks and communicates and the messages. I also think, though, I just need a little more to the piece, because I think a lot of where she's going, I'm not there. I'm not saying I'm past it. I'm just saying I'm not there. And so I've taken what I need, and I continue to take and listen and grow to support as well, right? But I'm also exploring elsewhere, and I found Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I really connect with him because he is a total brain science nerd. And I love that because that's what I talk and think. So he is using my language to explain what basically Mel Robbins is saying, what Abraham Hicks is saying, what even Neil Tyson DeGeneres is saying. Even Deepak, what he's saying. I'm so bad with names and remembering people. I've got to work on that. I realize that. Anyway, But he's saying it all in my language where I'm actually understanding, where I can see the brain and the circuitry, and the hippocampus and the different regions of the brain. He's slightly a little different on how he speaks about the regions, but it's the exact same idea. Like, I get it. It's awesome. And he's really helped me connect and apply in my language. And now I can share with others. Like, it's so cool what's happening inside of me right now. It really is cool. And I'm not quite ready to talk about that right now because we're talking about week 7. Yay! Which has been an awesome, awesome experience. Okay. So, anyway. So where are we going with that? So she was saying something about if we are trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's just beyond our grasp. Okay. When we get something down, there is no strain. We're not doing, we're getting. Someone or something else is doing the doing. Instead of reaching for interventions, we are engaged in listening. Now, that little paragraph there hit so many ahas for me. Because first of all, it's when we get something down, there's no strain. When we're trying to think something up, we are straining to reach. That's just like what Abraham Hicks is saying. Exactly what she's saying, or they're saying, right? Is that we get what we want when we don't resist. And if we're always looking down, right? Because we get something down, there's no strain. So we're not doing, pardon me, so when we're looking up, and when we're trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's not in our grasp. So that makes sense about how we need to, when we manifest, we feel it, we experience it. You feel that emotion, right? But then you got to trust and let it go because the universe, the source, is going to figure out how to make it happen. That's not for you to do. Your job is to embrace it and be open for it, right? So it's so funny how I'm able to apply what I'm learning right now to what she's speaking of. And it's the same stuff. It's really, really cool. It's just another synchronicity, which happened a lot this week, by the way, and I'll talk about that later. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can hear those kind of things. Okay. So anyway, then she talks about the actor, who's tuning in and dropping down the well kind of idea. I'm not going to talk about all that because, it wasn't really my thing, like I said. But then she got to perfectionism. Whoa. That, I started writing things down for. And so basically, one of the takeaways then of listening is that you need to learn to accept the possibility that the universe is helping you with what you are doing. That's exactly what I'm trying to learn right now, right? Just trust the universe always provides. The universe always gives you what you want, even when you think you don't want it. But you put it out there. The universe is very generous and abundant, right? And so this is kind of reinforcing what she is saying. And she's trying to get you to look at it, see it, feel it, experience it a different way than what I'm learning elsewhere. But I really do appreciate it. And it just kind of takes me back to that. I choose to allow the universe to fulfill my desires. I choose to allow the universe to bless me with all of these, so many blessings and gifts and opportunities and experiences and abundance. I'm so thankful. Okay. Now we talk about perfectionism, which I actually really kind of got excited about because it made me think about work, actually. And I have a little girl who is such a perfectionist. And it just kind of made me think of something a little bit different. Because she says that perfectionism is got nothing to do with getting something right. It has nothing to do with fixing things or being the best. Perfectionism is refusal to let yourself move ahead. And we always know what refusal of moving ahead is. When we break it down. Why? Fear. Whether it's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of letting someone down, fear of whatever. It's always fear, right? And so that it is like procrastination, a fear. Perfectionists are never satisfied. You got to think about it. And then my heart really started to ache for the client because I'm thinking, oh my God, the committee of assholes must be constantly. That must be exhausting to never be satisfied with what you're doing. And then you must never feel good enough. If you're never satisfied, you're not having any content or peace. Like, oh, it must be awful to be a perfectionist. That whole mindset of there's always room for improvement. She says that's egotism. And I say that's bloody exhausting. And she talks about pride. It's pride that wants us to have a bestseller. It's pride that wants our painting to sell for the highest ever. It's pride that does that. So that really gave me kind of something about, oh, perfectionism is not a good thing, which we know it's not a good thing. We know that, right? But it just kind of makes me have a little bit more empathy, see it a different way, and maybe a different way that I can explain it to others. I'm sorry, but I'm really thirsty. If I knew how to edit, I could so totally edit. I'm a grown-ass woman. But the thing is, I kind of like it like this, just because it's more natural for me. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so perfectionism, you're never satisfied. So that's going to be exhausting. And that perfectionism is not about being the best. It is the pursuit of the worst in you. So always trying to find the worst in you because you're never going to be good enough. That is your core belief of self. So that really impacts your shame-based identity that you carry. And there's so many things, if you're not perfect in, that's just going to expose that wound. That is so heart-poking, right? And then something she said, though, that I really liked, that I'm kind of processing, but it also goes with the whole manifestation of your desires, is normal part of creativity is letting go. Because you know what? The painting is never going to be finished. Or the drawing is never going to be finished. Or the garden will never be planted. Or you know, your words, your book, there's always another chapter, whatever it may be, right? There's always going to be something that you could add. But you got to let it go so you can move on to new stuff. Because remember, perfectionism stops you from moving forward. Yeah, I'm telling you, week 7 of The Artist Way is actually pretty good. Okay, so then she talks about risk. And risk basically is our ability to move out of the head and into action. So things that hold us back again is like, I'll be stupid, which by the way is no longer mine, but I'll look like an idiot. People will know my truths. It might make me less credible, like whatever may go through your head, right? But in order to do something well, we really have to embrace the fact that you got to be willing to fail. Because you're not always going to be the best at everything you do the first time you do it. Actually, I'm willing to bet that it's very rare that the first time you do it, you're the best. I think those might be the one-of kind of experiences. I don't know. But you have to work at things. And it's not that you have to work to be successful, like we know that, right? But you still have to practice. You have to know your practice to make it stronger, to believe in it, to make it work. But that's a whole other video, I guess. Anyway, so she talks about, or she breaks down to what we won't do it. So we won't do it unless we know we can do it perfectly. So we say, I can't do this because, and we make up all these excuses. But if you break it down, it's that we won't do it because we want to do it perfectly. And if we know that we're not going to do it perfectly, then we're not going to do it. So once we're willing to accept that anything worth doing might even be worth doing badly, our options actually open up and we have more opportunities and possibilities. That so relates to being aware that the universe is abundance, right? Now here's a really interesting one, and you're gonna slowly see how I kind of went on this descend. um, so the exercise she wants you to do is, if I didn't have to do it perfectly, I would try ... And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And then she gives a list of examples, so I'm going to share that because it kind of helped me think a little bit better. But so she says, if I didn't have to do it perfectly, I would try stand-up comedy, modern dancing, white water rafting, archery, learning German, figure drawing, figure skating, being a platinum blonde, puppeteering, trapeze, water ballet, polo, wearing red lipstick, taking a contour class, writing short stories, reading my poetry in public. Okay, you get the idea. I'm not going to go right through it all. Okay. So I was like, well, I don't know, like all of that. The whole, I really struggled with that if I didn't have to do it perfectly part, because the perfectly part doesn't bother me because I don't expect to do it perfectly. I don't. So I don't struggle with that. So then I replaced it with if I won't fail. Okay. If I knew I would not fail, I would, and then boom, paint. Build a cat wall for my wall. It'll be like cat shells with stuff on it on the wall. Anyway, but build that. If I knew that I would not fail, I would do that. So I thought that was interesting. But then, because I started thinking, like, she's talking about taking risks, right? And I take risks. Look what I'm doing. I'm doing this YouTube channel and I'm exposing myself as I go through the artist way. So, yeah, I think I take risks. I think I got this one nailed. Yay me, right? So that was fun. And then then talk about, very often a risk is worth taking simply for the act of taking that risk. Hell yeah, because you feel alive and it pushes those limits. It makes you go from structured, or like limited, you can only go so far, to unlimited. It is like a bountiful. You feel empowered. You feel like you can do anything. This is like an awesome feeling when you take a risk. So it's like that kind of high. Then she talks about jealousy. Now, this one's really interesting because, whoa, I go way on about jealousy because I really feel like I don't struggle with jealousy. And this is something that I have looked into before. Seriously, don't struggle with it. So I will, though, acknowledge I struggle with envy. I do. And so here's like a breakdown of what she talks about. Basically, jealousy is a map, and each of our maps are different, of course. We're all different. And it just helps us kind of unmask our fear, because jealousy is a mask. She says it's a mask for fear that we aren't able to get what we want. Okay, so here's what my little breakdown about jealousy and envy is, because I'm more envious than jealous. Mm-hmm. So jealousy is feelings that have to do with something you have. So there's two ways that I break it down to. Jealousy is something, fear. Someone is going to take something away from you. It's something you have. Someone's going to take. It's usually like a third party. So, person, maybe even like a job, like, right? Maybe a promotion you got, maybe your boyfriend, like whatever it may, maybe your child, whatever it may be, right? It's a fear of someone taking something that you feel is yours. Then the other part of jealousy is having like resentment or ill will towards somebody who has something you want, right? But it's focused on them. Now, envy is somebody has something that you want, but you don't give a shit about the person. It's that thing. You want their lifestyle. You want the relationship. You want their career. You want their peace. You want whatever it is, their hair, like whatever it is, right? So envy is something that occurs when you don't have something that someone else has. Now, jealousy always seems to be portrayed as worse than envy because you're a green-eyed monster when you're jealous and you're green with envy when you're envious. I also found it something like this too. Envy is I want your, so it's like disconnect. Maybe disconnect, yeah, of wanting but not getting. Whereas jealousy is don't take my, and you tend to be vengeful and apprehensive kind of idea with that. And jealous actually implies that you feel inferior and that others are superior, right? And let me tell you, something I don't really struggle with. So yeah, jealousy is never really a thing for me. But envy has, that someone has something that you want. Jealousy is resentment. So, and then of course how now Julia Cameron in her book talks about jealousy being a mask. You know, fear of doing something I really want to do, but yet not brave enough to actually take action for it, towards it. Fear of not being able to get what we want, right? That there's only room for one. And jealousy is very tunnel vision, and it narrows our ability to see the other's perspectives and other options and possibilities for us. So this really plays in a lot though too when you're trying to manifest, when I'm really struggling right now to see life as bountiful and see so much wealth and abundance and peace and harmony and calm as opposed to the others. So I get it. Not through the jealous lens, but I get where she's going with this. She also says that jealousy strips us of all of our will to act when action holds the key to our freedom. So yeah, so strips us of our will to act when the action of doing it will actually hold the key to our freedom. So that was really interesting because I didn't really connect with the jealousy part. Like I really didn't. But, and then it says, like, who are you jealous of? What are you jealous of? And I really actually had to think about that. And so I thought, and I'll take a sip of tea while I think. And you can click subscribe while I take a sip of tea. Anyway, so I thought, really? I'm not jealous of anyone. I'm not gonna own it. I just, there's no one that I can think of that I'm actually jealous of. And I can tell you why. I have reasons why in a minute. But envy, I struggle with envy. I'm getting better because I'm more aware, but I do struggle with envy, right? I'm aware of it, and I'm always challenging it, and I'm always replacing it. So she wants to know she wants to know who you are jealous of. This is who I envy. But listen to this. Are you ready? And this just flowed out of me. So I'm pretty much going to read what I've been writing. Here we go. Who do I envy? No one. Why? Because I don't want what they have. I'm excited for what they are doing if they have something that I want or desire. They are my evidence that I am on the right path. I am surrounding myself with the right people, the places, the things, and the thoughts. So I feel happy for them if they're doing things that maybe I'm not wanting or that I am wanting, because I'm taking their energy of feeling happy. It's like this really giggly, zippity feeling inside of me, and I love it. Like I really do. I'm not looking at people with envy because they have, this career, this car, this relationship, this hair, whatever it may be. I don't see that anymore. I don't feel that anymore. I'm seeing also that it's not as I see or as I experience, that everyone experiences life differently in how they manifest it. And I can only carry me, my own luggage on my path. And I can stop and I can help other people or other fellow travelers on their path. For sure I can, right? But really, I'm the one that's in control of my reality. I can't control others. And so when I see and I remind myself, or not remind myself, but well, yeah, when I'm trying to remind myself of the abundance, of the opportunity, of the, we're all creatures of the source, right? All beings of the source. That others can choose their life as well. And I just have to remind myself that that is their path. I can maybe be like a light part of the way, but they've got to do what they need to do, and I can only worry about myself. And that's kind of like just letting that go. I don't know, it's like a freeing kind of feeling where it's like I don't have to look at, the east side with such heaviness and guilt when I realize and acknowledge that we're on our own path and that the universe, the source, is for everyone. But we all need to be willing and accepting and do the work and all that kind of stuff that goes with it. Now, can I help? For sure. I can be supportive. I can guide, even if it's a smile or an ear, however it may look, I can do that. But really, I can't own it. And letting that go is helping me see that there really truly is abundance and good in the world, opportunities. So that's awesome. And then, yeah, so then it also kind of made me think of this about bringing it back for me in my own language, right? That everyone's not always going to be in the place of accepting what's coming for them or being able to manifest what they really want because they can't get past the lack or unable to feel gratitude or whatever the experience may be. It kind of goes like this. You can't regulate a dysregulated child when you yourself is dysregulated. This is what I tell the caregivers and parents that I work with. Okay, if you yourself is not in a calm, open kind of gratitude lens kind of lifestyle or state of mind, how can you help others? Right? It's the whole idea too about the oxygen and the airplane. You gotta do the oxygen first before you can give it to your kid, because if you're not breathing, how are you gonna help them to breathe? The whole self-care piece, right? So this is where I got really excited. You can't help and support your fellow beings, the travelers with you, when you yourself is pushing away the connection and support. Again, right? So this makes so much sense for me when I went through this part. And again, this is all where I'm coming from when she's just trying to talk about, jealousy. You can't love yourself if you don't love others. How many times have we heard that growing up? And oh my goodness, it's so true. It is so true. You can't. Because how do you know to show others what you're worthy of if you don't show it to yourself? Role model. We always talk about role modeling as our best tool. Role model how you want others to treat you. And if you feel that you're unworthy of love, then you shall not find love, right? And that all the wrong words will be given. You'll be provided for. I don't know what I'm rambling on about here when I start talking about love. But anyway, basically, it's if you don't love yourself, then how can you love another? And someone else can't love you because you haven't shown them how you love you. I don't know, something like that. But basically, your relationship's going to be unhealthy because you don't love them. Okay, I told you I was like all over the place on that one. Love is where your needs are just as important as theirs. That was my aha. Oh my goodness. Love is where your needs are just as important as theirs. I think that's really brilliantly well said. Thank you. That was me. And so anyway, that was my whole going from envy to love little mind travel there. And so basically she had a jealousy map that she wanted you to do. I replaced it with envy, although I'm finding that envy isn't even a thing for me anymore either. But basically you go, who am I jealous, envy of? Why am I jealous or envy of them? And then you have an action antidote, which means you do something about it. And so like her example here, just so if you guys want to do that, I'll let you know. Her example here is, who? My sister Lily. Why? She has a real art studio. Action antidote. I'm going to fix the spare room. Right? fix the room up, then you can make it your own studio. Okay. Another one, my friend Ed writes good crime novels. Action antidote? Try writing one. That's a good one. So anyway, whoops, I keep hitting that. So anyway, that was her examples. So what I did, because I really feel that right now I don't envy or jealous of anyone right now, so I don't have a why. And instead of an action antidote, I actually just changed it to action, because knowing about the procrastination, right? And how that's fear of me and being successful. Because if I get successful, someone can take it away from me, which by definition of what I just spoke about is jealousy. But I don't know, I don't feel it. So anyway, whatever to that. But anyway, so action. So I actually did make a logo. Yay, high five for me. I ordered cards. I got business cards coming up. Oh, yes, I do. I secured another website domain. Okay, round 2. And I put in my BC registry application. I got that started. So yay. And then my action, seek out like-minded people. And I'm going to release, I'm doing the aura reading. That's something I want to do. And doing reading and light, or listening to the audiobooks. I've started doing that. So yay me on that one as well. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so here's some good stuff that's coming up now for the next part of her book. She has these archaeology is what she calls it, right? And just kind of knowing our personal inventory and where we came from. And so there's a bunch of questions that she asks, and I'm just going to read them out to what I wrote. And this is actually really aha moment-ing. Like, wow. There's some stuff in here that even I was like, oh dear, where did that come from? Yeah. So, and I'm even debating about whether or not I should stop here and then just do this section, because we're already at 30 minutes. And you know what? I think I am going to. So guess what? I am now going to go to another video to talk about these archaeological questions that she has in the Artist Way week 7. Okay, be right back. Who would have thought that who would have thought that self-care is life-changing? But mind you, who would have thought that life could be so awesome feeling? See you in a bit.